It's the e-commerce master plan podcast. Here to help you solve your marketing problems and grow your e-commerce business. Cutting through the hype to bring you inspiration and advice from the e-commerce sector and beyond. Here's your host, Chloe Thomas.
Hello and welcome to our brand new podcast. I'm Chloe and it's great to have you out there listening. In today's episode, we are going through a roller coaster ride of the first 12 months of an e-commerce business, an e-commerce subscription business, in fact. There's lots of ideas and inspiration and kind of reassurance, I would guess, as well in this one too. I think you're going to really enjoy it. Without the sponsors, though, the podcast wouldn't be possible. So please do take a moment to check them out. This episode is brought to you by SendPro Online from Pitney Bowes. Save time and money no matter what you ship or mail with the SendPro Online software. Print shipping labels and stamps right from your desk and access discounted rates for as low as $4.99 per month. Try it free for 30 days and get a free £10 scale when you visit pb.com/masterplan. That's pb.com/masterplan. Subbly makes running a subscription e-commerce business model like a pro dead easy. There's no need for multiple plugins and complex, awkward solutions. Subbly is an e-commerce platform dedicated to solving and simplifying your complex subscription business model headaches, whilst giving your customers a pleasant experience. Subbly have a powerful drag-and-drop website builder and templates, but if you prefer, you can even use Subbly with your favourite website builder. Discover why fast-growing startups and even household brand names are turning to Subbly by checking out their 14-day free trial. Just visit subbly.co/masterplan. That's subbly.co/masterplan. And now to introduce today's special guest. Bryan Lewis is the founder and CEO at FINCH. FINCH is a subscription-based, eco-friendly activewear brand that makes technical apparel designed for comfort and performance and everyday use. The business launched in early 2018 and it took them just 6 months to get to $300,000 in sales. Hello, Bryan. How are you doing?
Hi, Chloe. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to finding out about your journey because, listeners, it's a really interesting one. So I've just given the listeners like a super quick overview, but can you tell us a little bit about how you got started in e-commerce, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So about 2 years ago, New York born, I moved out to California in the United States. And when I come out here, I identify a whole new way of how people work. New York is very, financial, lawyers, working 9 to 5, grinding. But I moved out to California and it opened my eyes to this whole e-commerce world, from all these e-com brands, from Apple, Google to Zillow, and a lot of big e-commerce brands like movement watches. And I met up a lot of people and I got very intrigued by the business and the growth that the market is having. So I decided to identify a trend. And that happened to be athleisure activewear, which is a very large market worldwide. Did some homework in that, and then I got addicted to it. And before you know it, I had a business.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
So you managed to get that first business. So the business FINCH, this was your first ever launch into the world of e-commerce, your first experience.
Yeah. So I've always been around the space. So before this venture, I owned an experiential agency, and what we do is we put together campaigns on the ground, people campaigns for e-commerce brands. So I was always the guy where Red Bull would come to us. We'd put together, Red Bull girls around the country, or Starbucks or whatever. We were always the guys behind the scenes. So scaling e-commerce brands was always easy for us to pitch and understand. And we just never had the actual platform to do it. So I first launched this brand almost out of a pitch almost. So 3 years ago, we pitched a client. It's actually quite a good story. 3 years ago from actually this month, we pitched a client that owned a clothing company for colleges. It happened to be similar to activewear, but not quite. And what they did is they sold branded college football and baseball apparel. And they wanted a way to sell more clothing at the campuses to direct to consumer, direct to the students and the parents. So we went in there, we pitched them the idea of doing like a subscription box. It was like a monthly Pride box of like your school Pride. And we pitched them an amount of money and whatever. And they said no, they turned it down. Very old school guys. And I liked the idea so much that my team came up with. I'm like, I like this guy. So I started researching it. And I've always liked the idea of recurring revenue. I mean, who doesn't? We always think it's very easy revenue. So we always kept the idea in the back pocket, and we went and spent time with my team to come up with a concept, and they said no to it, and the idea was ours, and I stuck it in my back pocket and just let it simmer like any good business idea. And then when I came out to California from New York, then it really resonated, like, wow, this activewear, this e-commerce game is a lot bigger than I thought it was. And that's when the business idea came about. And the first company we decided to launch, its name was called Fab Crate, which stood for a fabulous monthly crate of activewear. So that was actually the first name we launched with. Yeah, then we moved into Finch not too long ago as more of a brand representation.
Okay, so that first brand, the Fab Crate's the one you got up to the 300,000 in just 6 months?
Correct.
So although we will come back to talk about Finch and the reasons for the rebrand and everything, how did you do that? Get it to 300,000 in just 6 months from a standing start?
I want to say by accident. But it wasn't. It was actually a lot of like late nights and analytics. No, it was actually quite funny. So originally when I was going to launch a subscription business, I was trying to find a way to build a platform. And then when I launched, it wasn't very accessible for a clothing business, mind you, to launch a subscription-based business. It wasn't a popular model. Stitch Fix was just getting going. A lot of these bigger box companies were just starting to trend up, and there was nothing that existed. So I'll never forget it. I reach out, I Google, search, and I find 2 companies, and I end up calling one of them, and one of them was called Subly. And I spoke to the founder, luckily me, and we started chit-chatting back and forth. And I liked everything I heard, but I didn't like it enough because stubborn me, I'm like, it's missing. It's not 100% of what I need. I was trying to be a perfectionist, like any entrepreneur is when they first launch their brands. And, he had the platform to scale the business, but I said no to it at first. So I hung up the phone with him. I went back and I ended up hiring an agency, a developer agency, to build us our platform, custom.
Custom from scratch on day one.
Why? I don't know why. So we had a target launch of, I think it was March last year, to launch the brand. And we spent with this agency $10,000. And they helped us do our logo. And, we started putting the platform together and stuff. And then before you know it, 10 grand was gone. Like, they didn't build us anything. The tech was broken. There was holes in it. I'm out of 10 grand. Obviously it's a big investment for just not even having sales yet. And then I was like, I don't even like this anymore. I was butthurt about it. So I just sat in a corner pretty much for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm like, all right, I'm going to put it in the corner again, but then, I'm not going to touch it. And then I got on the phone with Stefan again, who owns Subly. And he starts yelling at me. He's like, Bryan, I told you to launch. What are you doing? Like, he's just yelling at me. He's like, dude, you have nothing to lose. Go validate his big thing is validate, right? Subly's thing is validate your business. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm being bougie. Why am I doing this? So I care less. I reduced my needs to 80%. We build a bitching website. We launched this cool website. We, build out Stefan's platform, which took us a day to do. The sign up quiz, style quiz, so on and so forth for members to choose what they want in their box. And in a full weekend, we sign up for Subly. We launch our products. We already had our products in place. And then we take out an Instagram ad. And before you know it, we had our first sale, and it just kind of took off.
So it was, I think it's interesting because so many people go through that same process you do. They want that perfection before launch. And it's like, well, you don't yet know what the customers think. How do you know what perfection is until you put it out there and start getting some feedback on it?
Correct. I mean, that's what I speak now to a lot of young entrepreneurs, or even, first entrepreneurs getting started, is you got to let the market validate and execute, tell you what they want. And that's the biggest lesson I've taken away from this launch of this business, was I built this business purely up until Finch today on what the customers wanted. I always listen to the support emails, whether it's good or bad. I always ask the members for feedback. I'd always text our members. And I was always perfectionist. So we think in our mind, we know what the customer wants, but that wasn't the truth. So launching just to validate was a very good lesson that I won't give him too much credit, but Stefan gave me to validate the business, and the website I thought was great at the time. When you look back at it, you're like, whoa, what was wrong there? But, Apple's first website, Amazon's first website, everybody had this great genius idea for their first website. And you look back at it like, oh my God, that was terrible.
And so was it those Instagram ads that got you to the 300,000, or were there other marketing tactics you employed along the way?
It was an interesting formula, actually. So, yeah, we were spending a lot of money and not converting. So for the first week, I was like, oh my God, we're burning money, $100, $200, $300. And then it just clicked once the ad we optimized the ad and the content in it. But it was an equal combination of commenting, messaging, following, really good content on our page. Like, we always hammered down amazing photos. We're in the activewear clothing brand, and people, if they see it and they buy into the emotion of a photo, they're going to buy it. So we always doubled down on really good content. So it was a really a series of attacks that helped us kind of scale between Instagram advertising, messaging, commenting, and overall good content that kind of got us to where we are today.
Nice. And that first business, you built it on the Subly platform. Were there any kind of key additional tech pieces you brought into the mix there, or was it just let's just use what Subly's giving us and get on with it?
Well, Subly's strength. What attracted me to the platform was with the activewear brand. It was kind of a curated experience where we needed to capture survey or details about what our members wanted. For example, in the yoga community, do they want, capris? They want full leggings? Do they want crop tops? Do they want long sleeve? Do they want t-shirts? Their sizes. And we needed to capture a survey to deliver a curated experience every month to them. Because we're shipping them 3 pieces of activewear for $65 a month. Now, mind you, the margin is very tight there, but we don't want returns. So somebody gave us a good platform to study those analytics and convert and optimize our checkout channel, because subscriptions are not typically the same checkout as a regular e-commerce product would be. A little bit different in terms of workflow. But our biggest thing was a great tool that we integrated with Subly was Hotjar. And Hotjar was an analytical platform, because when you first start off, you can only quantify with what you actually see and know. There's no theory in the startup business. You can't theorize things. So we would always quantify through Google Analytics and Hotjar. And I remember all my friends always make fun of me, like, at nighttime, instead of watching TV, I would sit there for 2 hours and I'd watch website traffic on the website, what they click on and what they do. So I would be casting my screen with Hotjar, and I'd just be staring at it and like writing notes. And the next day I'm redoing the website and the same thing over again until I see conversions jump and sales jump. And I did this for about a month, 2 months, until I saw a really steady formula in place.
Very nice. Yeah. I find a lot of people just put these tools in place on the website and never actually use them. And it's the real value comes from doing the hard work, isn't it? Putting the hours in and taking the results and making the improvements.
That's the thing. I mean, when you start a business, you have to go into it with a game plan for your personal life, your regular tasks, and for your business. And I think the first thing I did when I launched the business is I canceled my cable bill. Any distractions at your home life, because when a startup, you work a lot from home, I had to get rid of. So by doing that, you're purely focused on the business, and that's all you watch and learn and do, because you have to eat, sleep, and breathe it for forever, but for the first 3, 4, 5 months, it's very crucial.
Nice. And what does the team look like now?
Well, we first started, I bootstrapped. It was just me. Believe it or not, it was me, a contracted photographer, and my manufacturing warehouse, which was over here in California, and we made a lot of our goods in China. Just myself. Now the team we have a total of 5 people. So I was lucky enough to hire a chief creative officer, because in this e-commerce brand, you have to have your finger on the pulse in terms of content, shooting. It's moving fast.
It's all about the visual, isn't it, with the products you're selling?
That's what it is. I mean, it's e-commerce is who can brand and market better. Simple. I mean, everybody can offer the same t-shirt, but who can market and brand it better? That's ultimately what it comes down to. You can offer the best technical t-shirt in the world with like 15 zippers and it charges your iPhone. But if you can't market and brand it, you're not going to sell it. So yes, the team is about 5 people, 5, 6 people now. I have a chief creative officer. I have a digital content coordinator who handles, outreach, influencer marketing. We have an in-house photographer who shoots our studio shots. And then the rest of the team is basically purely focused on making the product, designing the product, testing the product, and then manufacturing the product. Because we're very much, we're performance and technical apparel. So you use our clothing to sweat, work out, do yoga, run. So a lot of our product has to fit well and has to wear well. So we do a lot of testing on the back end with our team there.
Nice. And we've mentioned a couple of times that there's been a rebrand and that you got to very high figures in the first 6 months and that now there's 5 in the team. So tell us about Finch and the decision to do the rebrand and the relaunch.
Yep. So we officially launched the brand last April, Fabricate, and we were growing very fast. And up until about October-ish, we're gearing up for our big Black Friday holiday push, holiday season. And a bigger competitor comes along and says, hey, your name is very similar to ours. Not going to mention the name, but we end up getting a cease and desist trademark letter in the mail. And young me, I'm like, stubborn me, my ego's involved. I'm like, no, I'm not changing the name. We spent so much money buying the domain, so much money building up the advertising, the Instagram page. I think we just broke 11,000 followers at the time. Countless giveaways, blood, sweat, and tears. And then I ignore them, and then they send a serious letter to the court. And I'm like, oh, so I phone my lawyer back home. Like, what do I do? He's like, dude, they're doing a lot more money than you. Think about this as everything happens for a reason. Just change the company's name. It's simple, dude. Just change it. And to me, it wasn't that simple because the name, it meant something for me because we were purely focused on subscription box. We were not a brand. We were a subscription box of activewear. So this is right around October. So we finally settled and they said we cannot advertise or do anything for 45 days. So that means that our busiest holiday season, we couldn't advertise.
Even with the new brand?
Even with the new brand.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So I have goods. Mind you, we're in the inventory game. So we have, I don't remember the many units. We have a lot of units on hand. Everything says Fabricate on it. So I'm like, do I close the business? We just broke in 300,000 in sales. The member base was growing so fast. And then this is when we hit the wall. And then because your member base, you have to keep, you're only as good as your last box or your last piece of clothing, right? So we started losing members. The churn went like through the roof. People are canceling. We can't provide the service. We can't deliver products. Things are being shipped late. Spiral of a tornado wind. I just take it because I'm like, you know what? This is the first real hiccup I'm having with the start with the business, besides sales not growing fast enough in the first 2 months. I take some time, November and December, I take some time and I'm like, what are we doing here? I'm like, we're purely subscription box. Like, how do we do this better? So I started listening to the market. Now, right before I got that cease and desist letter, we decided to advertise worldwide. And a market that really caught my attention was Australia. And we dumped a small budget into advertising in Australia. And a lot of members starting saying to us, oh, that's so wasteful, clothing every single month. And they started educating me on how bad clothing manufacturing is for the world. I didn't realize, I was very naive. I was just talking to China, making clothing. I didn't look that much further into just pretty looking clothing that fit well and wore well. And then Australia, who is the country, opened my eyes to it. And this is right before the rebrand is about to happen. So I went through all my customer support emails when I was doing the rebrand. I'm like, what am I going to call the name? What do people refer to us as? What can we do better? What can we do differently? So this time around, I said, you know what? I'm going to come back very competitive against this other brand that sued us. I'm going to launch a brand. I don't want to launch a subscription box. I want to launch a brand like Nike, something that's going to be a movement and here to stay. So I went out and started building a team at this point. So I took whatever money we had left and I said, this time around, I'm going to build a team around me because as an entrepreneur, when you have this negative stuff happening, nothing helps you grow and get through these tough times than having a team around you, an army. So around December into January, I found a few people and I brought them in. I gave them some equity to the company and took care of them. And we ended up rebranding the company and we came up with the name Finch. And I'll get to why we came up to it in a second. But I just went to figure out a better way of making clothing, manufacturing clothing. But this time around, we wanted to come back to the world with a better mission statement, a better why. So we're not the same company with a different name. We're a new company, different name, new why factor, new mission statement, new everything. And that's what we did. So we launched the new name in January. We still were not taking any sales yet because I wasn't sure how to make the clothing quite yet. I was like, oh my God, I just made a promise, but I don't know how to make it. I don't know how to make it.
So Bryan, you went from the guy who wouldn't launch the first brand without being perfect in early 2018, just 2018, to being the guy who launched the brand not knowing how he was going to create the product in 2019. That's crazy growth in that time period. That's mental.
Yeah, we're just burning money at this point. So I'm like, oh, we have money, but burning it. It's like my little playground. I'm playing with toys again. But yeah, so January burning money, figuring out how to make it, talking to China late nights, and February is when we hit it big, and we figure out a way to make activewear from recycled fish nets and recycled plastic water bottles.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so a lot of engineering, a lot of back and forth, and before you know it, we're like, wow, we have a pair of leggings that's made from garbage. Like when you say it like that, you're like, that's kind of weird. Is it soft and stuff like that? So yeah, we figured out a way. In February, we launched it. We started taking pre-orders. We still had our members on the back end that we were communicating with, that were shipping them product and stuff on the back end. But the members have already reduced down to a very minimal amount of production that we needed. And then we're gearing up for our bigger push this upcoming month. We're going to be reopening the brand to all new signups with the whole new line of clothing and the relaunch of everything.
Nice. And I guess this time you've got all that knowledge from the first time around of how to get those new subscribers on quickly, plus one awesome list there ready to be used too.
Exactly. I mean, this time around, we went out, we got an investor. So during this quiet time, we managed to raise some money, because we proved the concept in the past already. Re-engineer our subscription. So instead of doing production every single month, we changed our subscription to be quarterly, every 3 months. But we increased our price of the subscription because we're making better clothing now for a better cause. So we're launching with a new subscription model every 3 months, not every month. And we're going to be a full e-com brand with a subscription offering as well.
Oh, so people can just come on and buy a pair of leggings.
And that brings me back to what I said earlier, was like, listen to your customer base. Our customers liked our product so much, they wanted to buy more of it. And I was like, I don't have it. I can't sell you more. So, and that was almost every member. I love your clothing. I don't want this piece. Can I buy more pieces? But I want this, want that. So just having that, we were always selling the invisible. So if we can sell somebody that comes to our website on not seeing the product, that means we can convert even higher if they see the product and a subscription. So we purely built this Finch business model on what our members wanted over the 6 months of being in the business of subscription base.
Got you. So it's very much a case of listen to the customers, build what they want, and hopefully over the next couple of months, you're going to prove just how successful that can be.
Oh, I hope so.
So given the kind of the roller coaster of a year you've just had, I know we've got listeners out there who see the kind of the golden orb, the bright opportunity that is subscription. What would your advice be to those who are, either just in the process of starting out or have maybe made their first 6 months? What would your advice, having been through what you've been through, be?
The first thing is you need to make sure the market you're going to is big enough. If not, you have to make sure you have enough money to educate them on it. That's the first thing. I knew coming into the market that the activewear business did $50 billion, pretty much in the North America. So I knew the market was there and there was big providers doing this. So I think first test your market before you become naive. That's number one. But if you're already in the group for 6 months and you're into it, honestly, I think the best advice I can say is get out there and meet as much people as possible. With an e-com brand, we hide behind computers. But where I really started growing the brand and learning is getting out there, meeting people and talking about the brand, whether it be investors, whether it be people at a coffee shop. I think that's the number one thing that we forget is e-com brands forget to be a real brand, in person, offline. And that's really how you build a brand. Because word of mouth is the most powerful way of building any brand that everybody forgets about. So get out there, shake hands, and you'll be able to meet influencers, meet people that own tech companies. For example, Stefan. If I didn't go to meet Stefan at Sublime in California, he wouldn't have told me to launch. I wouldn't have probably launched. He wouldn't have educated me on certain things that I know. But that conversation wouldn't have happened organically like that over the phone because it would have been a professional conversation rather than more of a casual conversation. So I think that's the first thing. And then the second thing is make sure you quantify everything you do. You have to make sure you have analytics and data to prove everything. So if you launch an advertising campaign, why is it not working? Well, to back that, make sure you have website traffic to back that, and then just have analytics to prove your results. And the third thing is you have to make sure that your branding and marketing is amazing. As an e-com brand, your retail store is your website. Your everything is your product imagery. So you need to double down and spend the money on good photographers, good models. If it's not a model-based thing, good product shots, but your branding, your logo, your presentation, the fonts, your coloring, you need to spend time on that, because if you don't, you're not going to survive, because that's nowadays people are buying into that and they want to trust the brands. So I think those are the three main things I'd focus on your first 6 months is get out there, meet people, make sure you quantify everything through analytics, and then make sure your branding's on point.
E-commerce Master Plan is supported by some of the greatest companies in the e-commerce sector. Here's a reminder of who they are.
Don't waste any more time waiting in line to send mail and packages. With SendPro Online from Pitney Bowes, you can send packages and mail without leaving your office for as low as $4.99 per month. And because you're an e-commerce master plan listener, you'll receive a free 30-day trial to get started, plus a free £10 scale shipped right to your door to help you accurately weigh your packages. Save time and money no matter what you send with this new offer for SendPro Online. Starting at only $4.99 per month, you can print shipping labels and stamps from your own printer, easily compare rates using the online software, gain access to special USPS savings for letters and priority mail shipping, plus track all of your shipments and get email notifications when they have arrived. Go to pb.com/masterplan to access this special offer. Get a free 30-day trial and a free £10 scale to get started. That's pb.com/masterplan. Experience the better way to ship with a free trial of SendPro Online from Pitney Bowes. Don't let churn or a shoehorn tech solution hold you back from growing your subscription model. Subbly is committed to your subscription success by providing you with the tools to let you do your job and focus on growth and marketing. Regardless if you're a one-person band, startup or large brand, this tried and tested subscription e-commerce platform takes away your tech headaches. Subbly's 5-star rated service has an incredibly helpful support team ready to assist you when you join their 14-day free trial. Check them out at subbly.co/masterplan. That's subbly.co/masterplan.
It's time for the top tips round.
I love this section because it gives me and our listeners some really quick ideas for taking our businesses to the next level. So, Bryan, are you ready to share some more awesome pieces of advice as we do the top tips round?
Let's do it.
Okay, the book top tip. If everyone listening to this podcast agreed to take Friday off and read a book to make their business better, which book would you recommend?
The Dip by Seth Godin. It is the best book in the world. So it was given to me as a dip phase for me. So basically what it was is the exciting part of any business is building it. When you use your left side of your brain, you're creating things. You're very positive and optimistic. You're like, oh my God, sales are going to come in. This video is going to convert $1 million in sales. And I made the best sports bra in the world. And then all of a sudden the dip happens and nothing happens. You get no results. So you created something beautiful and then no outcome. And then you go through a depression state because you just mentally don't know how to handle it. And after I read that book, I'm like, oh, makes sense. I'm going through a dip right now. And I was able to bunker home my dip. This dip happened to be I had to change the brand name. But I recommend it. Great book, 75 pages long, maybe 100 pages long. Get it on Amazon. The Dip by Seth Godin. It is definitely a good one.
And it's definitely one of those things which when you're in the slough of despond or the dip or whatever, you do need sometimes just someone to say, you're in the dip? Oh, I feel so much better about it now. Cool.
It's a term now amongst me and my friends.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Like you realize, the second you realize, like, oh, okay, it'll be over soon. We'll be okay. Okay, Bryan, the traffic top tip. Which marketing method do you either prize above all others or think doesn't get the press it deserves?
I think the best is going to be Instagram, 100% Instagram, and Instagram advertising, Instagram posts. I would definitely read some blog articles on that around your industry and your time zone. But I think the second thing that's very hot and heavy that the press should not be boosting up as much is influencer marketing. I think it's a great channel if done right, but I think the results are not one for one. You don't just have somebody post a product and get sales. And I think it's overhyped. I think it's a great market still, but it's still black magic to me. There's no way to quantify the market. So I think number one is double down on Instagram. I think it's very cheap advertising right now. I think it's a great way to get your brand out quickly and improve your concept, validate. And I think number two is going to be don't believe all the hype on influencers.
Cool. Okay, the tool top tip, maybe a collaboration tool, a social media plugin, a phone app, or just a way of working. Is there a cool little tool that you use that makes you and your team more efficient from day to day?
The best tool that I've used thus far is Front app. Front is a shared team inbox. So since we're very transparent, we're a small company, we do a lot of emails are sent back and forth in the company, and this allows us to message, comment, text, customer support, everything in one platform. So I would like to say for collaborating on a customer or production side of things, I would like, Front app is amazing. And then from an internal standpoint, we use Slack. It's simple, it's quick, it's on your phone, it's on your computer. So those are the main two tools we use for that.
Cool. And now the growth top tip. If you met someone today who's focused on growing their e-commerce business from 100 orders per month to 1,000, what would be your number one tip for them?
I think the number one thing for growing, make sure you have $20,000 set aside. I think with e-commerce brands, I hate to bring up the numbers, you need to have that money to invest into the product, whether it be have inventory in hand or dump into marketing. But $20,000 seems to be the magic number to get you from that 100 to 1,000 or 1,000 to 5,000. That number seems to quantify that 5-to-1 return on investment.
Very nice. I like that. Some good analytics in there too. Okay, Bryan, before we say goodbye, could you please let the listeners know where they can find you and Finch on the web and social media, please?
Sure. So you can find me on LinkedIn and Instagram. LinkedIn, Bryan Lewis. Instagram, Bryan Lewis with 2 E's, Lewis. And then Finch, I'm usually mostly on there. I don't post much on social. I'm always on the Finch page. So it's @wear_finch, WEAR Finch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. Message us, follow us, and let us know what you think. And I'm always available to connect with like-minded entrepreneurs and like to share ideas.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Bryan. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today. I find what you've done in the first year of the business is kind of mental. So it would be very interesting to see how things go over the next couple of years for you. I wish you all the best. And thank you so much for being on the show today and sharing so many great tips and pieces of advice with us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Chloe, thanks for having me. And thank you so much for your time. I appreciate what you're doing.
So I, for one, am fascinated to see where Bryan takes Finch over the coming months and years. Such an interesting story there, and such bravery in many ways to just go again after that cease and desist, after, just at the point where you get the old flywheel going and the subscribers coming on board and it's all going really well, to get that and to then decide, actually, we're not going to completely throw this in the bin. We're going to come back better, stronger, having put in place, taking advantage of all we've learned, and then making sure we're actually building something that's better for the planet and better fits our values and everything else as well. It's a fascinating story. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've got some great tips from there. I'm sure you have. And I look forward to seeing you on the next podcast. For now, though, please do spread the word. Tell your friends, tell your colleagues, get them listening, because hopefully they can get some inspiration and some ideas from this show as well, because that's why we make it, to help you get the inspiration, get the ideas you need to grow your e-commerce business. For now, though, keep optimizing.
Thank you for listening to the E-commerce Master Plan podcast. Find out more at ecommercemasterplan.com/podcast.